We're good. No, one of the screens I default screen. So big special thanks to all the sponsors. Now that I have everything back, I'm missing somebody else I wanna thank today. Big shout out to Guard Dog Inserts. They sent me some really cool inserts. If you're looking for some custom inserts and you guys haven't checked them out, they make awesome inserts. I want to thank them. If you get a chance, head over to the website, leave reviews. I do, like I said, a bad job every now and again asking for reviews. I'm doing a better job of it now. So please leave a review. I appreciate everyone that does. iTunes or anywhere podcasts are heard. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. Got a special guest today. I'm excited about this one. This is going to be a lot of fun. Really excited. We got the one and only sorceress of shooting. Trap, right? I'm not putting it on you yet. I'm hyping you. Trap, right?
Yep, trap.
That's what you prefer. Trap. Because you said I'm a trapper. I'm going to get to what that means. She has a really cool Instagram. She posts all kinds of trick shit. Stuff I can't do. We got the one and only Julia Stallings. What's going on? 1 minute. We lost that. Let me fix this. We got one delay. We got one dilemma here. I got to fix. For some reason, I'm going to get to this. I don't know what the hell I did. I clicked something. This is why I can't be around technology, people. Everybody knows better. All right, here we go. We're getting better here. We're warm. All right. Hold on. This thing is all janky. Let me see. Let me try to get over. My word. I got it all screwed up. Hold on. There she is. Perfect. All right, I finally figured it out. Sorry, everybody. Sorry. I'm terrible. I apologize. Now, Julia Stallings. Sorceress.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, how... You started to tell me your story offline. How did you get to this whole shooting trap? You're going to have to educate me now. Remember, I'm not smart.
It's okay. It's okay.
Trap in this whole USA shooting thing, and how does that all play out? Okay. How did you get to this point? How did you get here?
Okay, do you want to know the difference first or
Yes, yeah, break it all down.
Okay.
For everyone.
Okay, skeet, that everyone kind of thinks the clays are, right? Mm-hmm. They're clays. They're not skeet. Okay? Skeet, it has a high house and a low house. Goes, right to left. Trap, think of a box in the middle of the field, and it goes outwards. Okay, and that box, American box, is above the field. International style is below. So it's like a dugout.
Say that one more time, slow for everybody in the back.
Okay. So trap has like a box in the field, right? There's a trap house in the middle of the field. It goes away from you. Those targets go away at different angles. You never know what they're going. With skeet, it's going right or left, right? So you have a high house, low house, goes right to left. That's skeet. Trap is in the middle, goes away from you. You don't know where it's going. And an American event, trap is above, so you have like a higher view. Those angles are mostly the same. And then international style is like, think of a baseball dugout, right? Underground. Think about 15 traps, and it's going straight up, straight out, really fast. So.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, that's a breakdown.
Who would have thought? Now, how does this work out? You're younger than I am. You're younger. How does this work out where you start shooting at such a high level because you don't miss?
Yeah.
How does that work? I mean, the easy answer is practice, right? But you got into it a little later too. It wasn't like you got into this early. So how did you get to this point with your talent, with the ability? Because when you go to Instagram, in case anyone listening who hasn't checked out her Instagram, Julia Stallings, she's shooting like behind the back, under her leg, over the shoulder, upside down. The upside down shit I don't understand. It's pretty amazing, actually. And I think the reason I brought up TikTok earlier, we'll get to that, but I think you'd murder it on TikTok with that shit.
I would murder it on TikTok, except they block me all the time.
Oh, really?
They block me all the time unless
Ooh.
I like do normal stuff and be boring. They're like, oh, she's on a range. That's normal. That's fine. But shooting over your head, behind your back, TikTok hates it.
Oh.
100%.
So how, like, do you just you started out like water skiing or something, right? Wakeboarding or whatever it was, right?
Yes, I grew up water skiing. I did it when I was 4 years old. My dad was all about, raising
Water
kids
sports.
that were athletes. He was like, okay, my kid's athletic, let's go. So I water skied 4 years old all the way to college. I went to University of Alabama for college. I did the whole water skiing route, got a full ride. I mean, my dad was so proud. He's like, Julia,
Roll Tide.
roll freaking Tide. So yeah, so excited about that. And, I did it. And then I ended up kind of meeting a guy, and he saw that I was,
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, that's where I went wrong. Met a guy. He saw that I shot a little bit, not very much. He just thought I had talent. So he coached me, and I ended up going to nationals for shooting.
Like right off the bat.
Yeah, it was my first year. Ended up placing, and I got on this TV show as a joke, and didn't think
What TV show?
It was the PSCA.
Okay.
Professional sports. They don't have it anymore. It was a really, really cool event where it was like nighttime shooting, and you were under the lights, and it was really awesome. I mean, marketing wise, it was amazing. It was amazing. And you can win money, a lot of money. So they did an event for college that year, and I got on it, and I made the finals, and I won it. And a college came up to me, and they were like, hey, do you want to shoot instead of water ski for, money? And I was like, absolutely. My dad cried a little bit. He went from like full ride at Alabama, just got to sit in the boat and water ski once a week, to she's switching schools to go to St. Louis area, and she's going to be shooting guns. So, yep, jumped that boat and went up there. My dad's like, think about it. We're going to go visit. Just think about it. I signed on the dotted line that day. I was like, give me the piece of paper. Let's go.
When you know, you know.
Yep. I moved. I switched. And then that coach at college actually signed me up for USA shooting. He thought,
okay.
So USA's style of shooting is so different than American. You don't have that many events. It's a lot different form. The speeds are different. The angles are different. Everything's different.
Harder or just different?
So harder. So American speeds around 30 miles an hour. International, it can get up to 70. So those clays are booking it. Totally different angles, totally different style. And he was like, you know what? You got this. You can go to this tournament. Right. And I was like, I'm going to embarrass myself at this tournament. So I ended up going, and I made the finals. I made the finals against these Olympic shooters. And I was like, oh my gosh.
So you're a bit of a prodigy.
I was a wild card. I wouldn't say prodigy. I was a wild card that didn't know what she was doing.
But learned quickly.
I'm a fast learner, very fast learner. I learned by, watching things, be quiet, watch things. I pick up on it fast. And that's what I did. So I got on the USA team about a year after that first tournament, right? Because during that time, they had the Rio. My first tournament was right before Rio Olympics.
Okay.
So that was my first tournament. And then that second tournament was just kind of like playing around, nationals. It was like a fun tournament.
Just playing around.
Yeah, playing
nationals.
around. And I made the finals there. And then the next one is when they put me on the development team. They're like, okay, well, she's made 2 open finals, which are huge. People don't make the finals like that. And I was like, okay, here we go. I went to my first World Cup was in Guadalajara, Mexico. And I will never forget this moment. My coach asked me what my whole point was. And I had no idea. I was winging it. I mean, literally just winging it. No thought process, no nothing, no game plan, just hit the target.
Were you scared at all, or were you rushed to the altar too quick to be scared?
I think I was rushed. I had no fear. I just wanted to make it. I wanted to be up with those people, and I was like, I can do it. There's
something to be said about that. When you're just kind of like rushing into it, it kind of eliminates a little bit of the fear. It's like, it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's kind of like, okay, I might have some major setbacks, but when you have like a certain raw talent for it, which you have, there's no question, because how do you get there, right? There's a raw ability. You kind of reach that point where it's like, okay, you have to start to ask yourself, like, I got something now. Like, I'm good at this. Yeah. And like, your dad already had a nervous breakdown because you're not doing water sports anymore. At what point did you start to think like, I can sustainably make money and compete in this?
Probably about last year, honestly, because after in college, I was like, I just want to make, I want to be with the USA people.
Once I want to graduate and party.
Oh yeah. I mean, I did an extra lap, and it was worth it just to be able to compete with high people that were competing all the time.
Sure, why not?
Just being alone and competing. So I ended up, I don't know, I just wanted to be with those people. I saw like the USA Center. We went to the Olympic Training Center, my first nationals, and got to tour it a little bit. And I was like, I want to be this. And we had one adult. He made the USA team. He was the first on, my college team to make the USA team. And they gave him his outfit. And I remember going on to his house, and he knew I was like talking about like, hey, I really want to do this whole USA route thing. And he let me put on his jersey. Basically, it's like an award ceremony outfit. You got like the sweatpants, USA gear, and jacket and everything. And
sure.
I tried it on. I remember taking a picture. I was like, I will have this outfit one day. And it was two tournaments later, I did.
Amazing.
And I was like, we got to keep going. I think that's what I wanted versus me fearing everything else. I just wanted it. So kind of like blinders put on. I was like, straight going. Let's go.
There's something about, I don't have to tell you, about visualizing what you want and dialing in like in your brain, like using not just imagery, but like, willing it to happen, like saying, this is what I want. Like if you want to be successful at anything, like you have to start to visualize yourself having that success. Do you do a lot of that?
Yes. It's funny that you mentioned that, because at the very beginning I did all the time, right? It was like I had blinders on. I had a one-wave streak. I was getting to the top. I don't know how I got there, but this is going to happen. And when you start talking to people and you're in it, right? It's like that doubt comes.
Right.
For me, I was like, I lost sight of my vision. And until recently, I started going back to, let's make a goal. Let's only want this goal. And once we get that goal, we'll get the next goal. And so I started breaking it down better, but it took a hot second for me to understand that.
Well, you were just getting, acclimated to the tournament scene and to that whole thing. So for you, it's not like you haven't done a loop around the park yet. Like,
Yeah.
And that's when you kind of feel like, okay, I know what comes after the appetizer. I know what comes after the salad. It's like you could start to figure it out. And in fairness, like there's that, then before long, nothing rattles you, right? Like you start to figure it all out. And it's at some point.
Yeah. Honestly, so back to the whole Guadalajara thing, when I was sitting there and the coach was like, where's your whole point? That made me honestly question what I did, if it was right or wrong, instead of just saying, hey,
fuck it.
Yeah, go for it. Wing this. Well, let's go.
So, and I've told this story before. I'm going to tell you a story. You remember the Brad Pitt movie Moneyball?
Yes.
It's a famous movie about Billy Beane.
Yep.
So Billy Beane was supposed to be the stud baseball player. That was the whole story behind it. And there's two different mindsets, right? So if you read the book, this part is in the book. This is a difference between the book and the movie. In the book, he talks about sitting in the dugout with a baseball player at the time named Lenny Dykstra. Lenny Dykstra was an animal, okay? A total animal. His nickname was Nails, okay? He was a total savage. They were looking out to the mound, and Nolan Ryan was pitching. Nolan Ryan, 7 Cy Youngs, 3,000 plus strikeouts, all the different shit. And Billy Beane had the mindset of like, oh my God, that's Nolan Ryan. He's amazing. He lost before he got to the plate. Yeah. And Dykstra was more like, I don't know who the fuck that is, but I'll hit him. Like he had no clue. He wasn't like a student of the game like that. Yeah. So there's something to be said about just having that raw fuck it ability. And Bledsoe likes to tell the story about Brady running out to win the first Super Bowl, 2001. And everybody's like, hang on to the ball, Brady, be careful, all the things. And Bledsoe just looks at him and he goes, nah, fuck that. Just go out there and sling it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to sling it, right?
You do, because when I started doubting or like questioning, oh, did I do this right? Did I do it to their format? I like missed all the time. I went downhill so fast as I went uphill, right? So I was crawling downhill, like just speed of light, snowball effect. Oh my goodness, what am I doing wrong? Because I was trying to fit their format. And they, like, I had one coach, it was an assistant coach. He came up to me in Korea and he was like, Julia, what the heck are you doing? You changed your style like 18 times. Like, you're shooting like crap. Like, we're here to win. And I was like, well, I'm doing what you said. And he was like, just ride the freaking bull. Like, just go out, pull the trigger. You know how to shoot. Like, stop trying to make it perfect. And I mean, that round after that, I shot a perfect score. And I was like, he's right. I've spent so much time doubting myself and trying to conform to somebody else and wondering this, wondering that, versus just, let's go.
Right.
Let's fight. Like, bring it. I don't care what you throw at me. Okay, here we go.
So you start competing and having success. At what point do you start getting sucked into this ridiculous world called the gun industry? Because I see you and you're around. At what point do you start getting sucked into the weirdness?
Oh my goodness. That's
to the
probably
high school that is the firearms business.
I know, right? So that's probably when COVID first hit, and before it first hit. So jump back till September. I think it happened around what, February, March.
It was like February it hit,
March.
but we didn't start locking down, and things
Totally.
didn't get weird till like March, April.
Yeah. So before that, go to September. I was traveling so much. I was going from Italy, Finland, Korea. Like, it was so much traveling where I couldn't, like, I got out of college and I was like, well, I have this job dream, right? I was like, well, I can't really do that dream because I have this other dream that's more important to me. And I went back home and was building a range at the time. And I had a family friend, and he was like, hey, we're opening this indoor gun industry range. It has a range, barbecue restaurant, coaching.
The whole deal.
The whole 9 yards. And he's like, I think you'd be a perfect fit. And I was like, I know absolutely nothing.
It's great for social media.
Well, no. So that wasn't even, he's like, I just need you to stand there and make the ladies feel welcome. And I was like, well, I don't even know what this gun is. I don't even know how to shoot a pistol. And he's like, well, time to learn. And so he taught me that industry a little bit. And then it wasn't until about a year after that, he was like, you have the talent to do social media. I was like, no, I do not. Like, that was my first thing. Not going to happen. No, I do not. I don't even have time for that. And he was like, you can do it. I was like, I'm terrified of cameras. Like, a camera comes in front of me. And I'm like, oh gosh, what do I say? What do I do? Am I smiling? And he was like, you can do it. And ever since he pushed me to do my first trick shot, he was like, do something that makes people want to see you. And I was like, so I'm thinking, I was like, nobody wants to see bunker. No one wants to see skeet. No one wants to see anything I do. I'll kick the clay off my foot, kind of like what Army does, but I'll do it as a girl. I'll do it as a girl. Be like, cool shooting girl, kind of badass. Let's go. Went viral, like instantly. Crazy went viral. And I was like, oh crap, what'd I do? And he coached me through it, and that's the whole point of the red dress. You always ask me, like, why did I shoot in a dress? Well, I wanted to give that persona of, yes, I'm
a lady can do it. I was waiting for you to give that answer, honestly.
Not just that. Like, you all the time see, oh, if she looks pretty, she's a gun buddy. She doesn't know anything about guns. She doesn't know how to handle herself. And I love dressing up. But I also love to get down and dirty.
See, this is the $1 million answer I wanted you to give, because I have a lot of strong women in here, right? I've had so many women I admire truly for how they've done in their fields, their respective fields. I mean, I've had Rachel Balkovic on, who's the Yankees hitting coach. I mean, I've had Dr. Heather Linden, who's the UFC doctor. I mean, I've had so many great, strong women in here. And you did it a little different, right? So you're putting on a dress, you're showing it's a lady out there doing what men are typically known to do. And you just really summed it up perfectly right there. And I think that in some cases in this industry, women are afraid to do that.
Yeah, I wanted to show them that, a girl can look pretty and she can shoot a gun, and you can do both. And honestly, like, heck, if I want to wear a dress and go to the range, try to beat me, because you better bring your A game, even in this dress and even in these heels. Let's go have fun. Yeah. So I knew like the dress would automatically get the attention, right? Go the whole viral, right? But you zoom it out and you see like me. shooting the gun, shooting, having fun, being the badass that I want to be. No holding back.
Right. Were you scared at first doing it? Like the portrayal? Were you like, I don't know what's going to happen with this. I'm going to catch heat, you know?
Oh my
Or were
gosh,
you too
yeah.
young in the game where you're just like, fuck it?
No, this is like outside of my comfort zone, right? So like my social media guy, he was like, you know, Julia, you have to learn how to get outside of your comfort zone. Like every time I want you to make a video, obviously appropriate, and get outside of your comfort zone.
Sure.
I want you to feel nervous because that's hard for me to do, because tournaments, I don't get really nervous. I get excited. Not nervous. Big difference. I get excited to compete because I'm ready to perform. Talking, social media, I get nervous every time I do something that's not, you know, the norm. Right. Once I do it, I'm like, okay, that's normal. Anything I do like outside, like the red dress thing, I was like, oh man, this is outside my comfort zone.
You start panicking.
Yeah, I did panic a little bit. And I remember like, I didn't want to hit the send button. I was like, share it. Julia, it's time to share it. I was like, I can't do it. And I waited about 30 minutes. I think I even went go get a drink. And then I was like, well, screw it. I guess it's going to be what's going to be. And it did go viral. That one went crazy viral. It actually got me a sponsorship with my own gum company. So I was like, man, we did go outside the box.
Right. Yeah, it's, you know, it's a weird thing. And then you progress through, you know, social media. You start seeing who the players are, right?
Yes.
And like what's all involved in social media. And you have to, this industry is a weird, fucked up place. And it's like, there's a lot of people to see. I put you in a different category. You're a professional. You know, got folks I've had on this show. You're not like a shoot fast person, which is I like to call them, or you're not like one of those people dressed in the operator costumes. You're not playing the game, so to speak. You're not gaming it. And I see a lot, you know, there's a lot of pages, a lot of people out there that they're trying to fit a stereotype.
Yeah.
And one of the things, as you've learned, you just summed up beautifully in social media, you're never going to get ahead doing that. You might gain a following, but you're not going to get ahead because you're not different.
Yes, you have to be different. Like, don't fit into the norm. Get outside the box in your own way. That's the key. I think it has to be in your own way. The problem that I had when I first kind of like got in the middle of it, right? You have your, you know, your viral hits. Okay, now you're in it. And then you have this downtime of the middle. I like plateau, basically, right? And I was like, where do I go from here? And you start looking, trying to be like everybody else. And I was like, that's not me.
Right.
I can't do this. I need to be Julia. And I had to figure out how to get myself back into the game.
It's a strange sport. And I say this to you, and I want to get your reaction. It's a strange sport because you don't see a lot of people throwing a football in their backyard, right? Now, hear me out, because this is going to be interesting. You don't see a lot of people throwing a football in their backyard and acting like they can be Tom Brady. And that's what's really strange about the gun industry. There's a lot of people that post videos, do stuff, and everybody's like walking around like, I'm so fucking bad, you know, look at me, you know, and I got this cool pouch, and you know,
yeah.
And you just want to shake your head sometimes at a lot of it, because I'm like, this would never fly in another sport. Like, you don't see guys shadow boxing acting like they're going to be Mike Tyson. But for some reason in our business, people think that that's the case. Or what I love, which is an all-time favorite of mine, is people think because they bought a gun, they're in the firearms business.
Oh, yeah, the posers. I love the posers.
It's beyond posing, really. It's honestly next level. They're end users, and they're like, yeah, you know, I'm in the business. I have an Instagram. And you're like,
yeah, I've never seen you before on the field.
Yeah, I never see you never see them anywhere. It's terrifying. Why do you think that is?
I think they just want to be something and take, you know, the easy way. It's really easy right now on social media to be somebody that no one really knows who you actually are. You just have to post a picture. You have to kind of fit the gram, right? Fit that look. And in all honesty, I mean, just easier, right? You can easily do something, get a bunch of followers. I mean, you can pay for followers these days. It
blows my mind though that it's a systemic thing in this business. It's strange to me. Like I puzzles me a lot of times. Like, and I'll be on the phone with people, and you know, I talk to everybody. I'll be on the phone with people, and I'll be like, why? Like, I'm like, there's no money in it. You're not gonna make any money. No. I'm like, is this like where like all like ex-car models go to die? Like, what the fuck what is the draw?
I think they just want to feel important, or they just want to have that feedback of being something that maybe they don't want to take that first step to actually be. I mean, that's the only thing that I can realize or think about, that they would want.
Because you have the ultimate, you're like, no, I legitimately do this for a living.
Yeah.
And it's like, I try to explain to people, I'm like, I get a lot of people that'll come up to me all the time and they'll say, oh, I mean, you saw me take 2 calls about this. They'll literally be like, I need help, or I need to figure this out, or I need to figure that out. I'm on the phone a lot. And sometimes I'm like, well, why? Like, there's nothing, there's no, like, at the end of this rainbow is you're either fighting a fight on a political level, you're fighting the fight on a competitive level to be the best in the world, which is a noble one. They're all noble, right? They're all noble wants.
In their own way, yes.
Yeah. Or you're an end user, right? You're a Leo Mill guy. But a lot of these people, it's not like they're executives in the business. They don't work in the... They're just people running around playing G.I. Joe, or they're playing dress up, or they're doing... And I'm like, I want to ask them sometimes, like, well, how much money have you donated to any cause? How much time have you put in? What is your time? Because it's frustrating to me, because then I see people who are legitimately trying to build something. And this is what separates, and this goes on in the fitness industry really bad. There's a difference between the competitors and the influencers, right? So you see it as a very stark draw line contrast. In the gun industry, it's so interesting to me how some people want to portray themselves in that regard. And a lot of people got into the review game. There was a lot of those guys and gals that were like, I'm gonna be a reviewer. We're gonna do a Glock 19 review.
Yeah.
And it cracks me up. And and I'm like, I don't want to hear from you. I want to hear from Julia. You know what I mean? I want to hear from someone else. And you and I talked about that a little bit, that game. And I think there's a place for all these things, but something is up with our industry, that there's that systemic problem. It's not a problem, it's more, it just is very confusing to me. Like, I maybe when I played football, I should have went in my backyard and just like tackled neighborhood kids, and I could have been like, I'm like a linebacker for the Patriots or something. Because to me, it does, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't see it in other sports.
I think it's an atmosphere, honestly, because I see it a lot in my sport. And recently, the new crowd, not as much, like the new crowd, because I think it took a toll on them. But you see it a lot with the older people. For me, it's like, what can you do for me? Instead of, what can you do to grow the sport? And I always try to tell that. I'm like, if you have no sport, what was your legacy actually about? If you have nothing to produce afterwards, if you don't, get that next generation in, if you don't, be a leader, bring something to the table that's not just about yourself, what you actually do, because you're going to be a sport of no one knows about. And that's the big thing that I think, my industry struggles with is, what can you do for me? And you're not thinking about the next steps. Because again, if you look at it like, okay, I'm a champion of this. Well, that sport's not around. It doesn't matter. No one knows about it.
Right.
Versus just passing it on to the next generation and being so promotive of that next generation, passing that whole knowledge, whole fun, expertise, everything else you can easily pass on. It takes no money whatsoever. Just takes time, right? And that's what I think they forget, especially in the gun industry.
Yeah.
Because you have that certain type.
I just think back to, how I explain networking to people. I'm like, well, you have to be willing to do 2 or 3 things for somebody before you ask for one. And it should go the same for the industry, right? Like, do a couple of things. Be willing to meet people halfway. Like, well, listen, I can volunteer time. And there's a lot of great people that volunteer time at their ranges that do a lot of things. But in our industry, it's social. From the social media standpoint, it's always been interesting to me, an interesting study to see that play out. And, I want all of you guys and gals, and I've said this to Max, JJ, and Doug, and a bunch of people that have been on the show, you guys should be the stars. You really should. You guys should, but the problem is I think there's such a dilution of people out there that are like, well, I'm going to be a shoot fast guy and I'm going to shoot in sub 1 second. And that's going to make me a star. And that's good. No, it doesn't work that way. So how do you fix it? What's the answer? What are we doing wrong? And I ask you this sincerely, what are we doing wrong in social media as an industry, and what can we do better? I mean, what should we be doing better? I mean, I asked Tom Taylor this of Sig Sauer, where should people be putting their time, effort, and energy to move this industry forward?
I mean, honestly, I would start with, how can you expand it? You obviously have spotlight people, right? Your athletes, your pros, your big people, right? Everybody knows the names, right? But what about the other people? What about one every now and then in a different category? That way you expand your network, expand, growing that atmosphere to those next people who maybe are not there yet, but they're developing. They can be. They have potential. You put a little bit of interest into it and it grows. And pass that on. I mean, I think that's where you would start. I mean, I try to do that with a little bit with the high schools that I'm in now in Memphis. Like, I coach a little bit of the teams, right? I have probably about one person on there's 14 teams. I think I coach around 8. One person from about 8 teams. And I take one person, I'm like, hey, let's focus on you. Don't worry about everybody else. Let's focus on you, and let's get your mental game right. So you can mentally, be positive to the next people instead of just all about you. It's not about you. It's like, let's mentally prepare you, and then you pass it on. Because if you have, a girl who's shooting, right, and she's mentally like stable, I hate to use that word, but mentally mindset stable, right?
Yeah, for the competitive environment. I get what you're saying.
Not just like, oh, I'm going to bring you down.
No,
right?
Right.
Yeah, not negative, right, but a positive vibe. And she's like, just say she's a senior, right? And you have a bunch of juniors coming in. And you say, hey, this girl meant a lot to me as a junior girl talking, and that junior wants to stay to the senior year, right? You have at least one committed athlete. That committed athlete has friends. You bring those friends up, and it goes on and on and on.
Do you think that's like insanely noble and definitely not going to make you rich and not fruitful?
No.
It's a give back, and that's what it's about, really, in so many ways. And like I said, one of the things that frustrated me for a really long time was when I looked at Instagram and even TikTok in the early infancy and some of the other platforms. I wanted to start a podcast that put shooters on and put competitive shooters on and people and personalities in our industry on the same pedestal as other industries. Because what I saw was, I said, what the fuck is this? Like, why are we posting glamour shot photos? And this isn't what this industry's about. It was somewhere we took you know what I'm saying, Julia? Somewhere we took a right, and it, like,
we should have just took a left.
And we should have stayed. I don't understand what happened, and it's almost like this influx of people came in that were like, we're here to exploit this any way that we can, like to get a following, to give a certain portrayal. And a lot of them had never actually cashed a paycheck in the business, never worked cohesively with a company or a brand or anything. They never signed a contract. They never, and look, my hat's off to them. Everybody should pursue what they want to pursue, but you know exactly what I mean. And that's why you're laughing. It's like somewhere we took a right at the lights and it got weird.
Yeah.
And now bringing in audio, which is the ultimate, we can hear people's story. We can hear their great story, yours and other guests that have been on the show. And I love to be able to say, see, this is a star. And why are we pigeonholing ourselves to just Instagram? And our industry does that so badly. And you're of that younger crowd. And when I have younger guests on, I always ask them, like, how you consume media is the future of how media will be consumed by this industry. And I've spent hours arguing with executives about the futures of YouTube and this and that. And everybody likes to say, well, we don't have those things, right? But you still have to make the effort. You still have to try. And what they don't understand and what the industry doesn't understand is something you figured out, and this is going to bring it together for you, is it's got to be entertaining.
It does. You gotta gain the attention. Unfortunately, I had to learn that. That did not come easily.
Right.
And a lot of people struggle with that. They think, oh, if this person did it, they copy the song immediately, do the same act, and it's not entertaining. Oh,
same bit, yeah.
You just keep swiping. You're like, oh, same thing. And you do have to find something that grasps that viewer attention like in 3 seconds. You're like, okay, what can I do? People want to know how to do things really fast. They want to know 3 easy steps. That's a big one. And they want immediate attention now, right? And that's what you kind of have to focus on, at least in our industry that I found out If I tell you 3 easy steps, they share it, they like it, they want it now. It's
And
like Amazon
unfortunately,
Prime.
and they want variety. And that's the
Yeah,
biggest
yeah.
thing, Julia. Like a lot of what we see in our business is rinse and repeat the same 4 people.
Yes. Well, thankfully, I kind of got lucky being a girl because, it is a lot of it dominated male sport, right? So shooting's like dominated male. They're like, oh, well, we have, wives, we have our daughters, they're getting into the sport. What the heck do we do? And so that made it a little bit easier for me because I can give a more women's perspective on things like what I carry, my actual shotgun, how I got it fitted to fit me because I'm a girl.
Right.
Okay, I have a girl body, not a man's body. My arms, I'm not jacked or anything. I'm normal. I'm normal. I'm a normal girl. So yeah, I lift 5-pound weights. That's about it, right? Can do maybe 2 pull-ups. That's about it. But
Good eyesight, though.
yeah, no, yeah. Actually, I'm blind. I'm blinder than a bat. I have great contact.
Well, you wouldn't know by the way you shoot. So no, you figured that out. You cracked that code.
Yeah, great eye doctor. He gives me good glasses.
There you
good
go.
Prescriptions. But that perspective that helped a lot in my industry, at least. Maybe not in the guys' industry, but you're right. You're kind of spot on with you only have 5 stars and you use them so much that they get burnt out too.
And it's saturation. Yeah. It becomes market saturation. It becomes like...
Yeah, you see it, you don't really pay attention.
Like I have the running joke, I can't even pick up a Recoil magazine anymore because I'm like, I don't care about this person's EDC. Like it's the same fucking thing.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
It's the same. And all those magazines don't produce any hard-hitting news. Like right now, we're all dealing with the ammo issue, right? So there's the ammo issue. And there's 100 stories out there. I'm not going to get into the stories because you know how I feel about it. But there's the ammo issue. Yeah. Nobody writes like a hard-hitting piece. And like, I would pick up a magazine if it said, hey, like this is what's going on with the ammo industry. Or like, but all those rags, everything, they're so obsessed with like, I'm going to lose my free case of ammo from Federal if I say something, or I'm going to lose my free sweatshirt, my free hoodie. And it's so preposterous.
It's kind of funny when you look at it like that because, people can go out of their way and make more by going out of their way and standing up for what they think versus, oh, I'm just going to hide in the shadows. I'm scared I'm going to lose 1 box of ammo or 1 hoodie or 1 sticker. There's more stickers.
We're going to rinse and repeat the same narratives.
Yeah. At least you're getting people who actually care. They want to read what your opinion is, your real opinion.
You start to matter.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Like,
somebody's actually saying the truth. Ooh. It's kind of like, for a long time in this industry, there's that one systemic problem. And you see it with the review people. You see it with a lot of people. They'll come into the business and they want to just, continue the narrative that's gone on. We'll do a Glock 19 review. We'll do this, and they're not doing the reviews in an exciting way. Like you said, you want to hear it from the pros, but you also want to see the delivery in a way that's new and exciting, that grabs your attention. And I think, this business is starving for fresh, new blood and new people's perspective because we're tired of seeing the same old rinse and repeat things.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree. I think the stars are tired of doing it. It drains them mentally, right? Because you're going to drain them mentally by doing the same thing over and over. Oh, picture here, same picture, same kind of format, same holster, same everything, same gun. And then on top of that, they get like that whole job security. I don't have to do anything.
Right.
And then you really get stagnant because, well, no one else beats me, right? So why do I have to do something different?
And a little bit on the manufacturers, there was a huge misconception about what it meant to actually be in this business. Like I remember having early on, this was before your time in the business, but people would give you like a box of ammo, or people would give you, a muzzle brake. The running joke used to be they give you a muzzle brake and they think they own you. Like I'm like, you don't understand. To go to the range, I need to cover ammo costs, photographer, video, like nothing. Like you used to have to go timeout to manufacturers. Wait. This is $1,000 day. Yeah. Like you want to give me, I appreciate that you want to give me a $1,000 scope, but that's going to get eat into really, really quick. You're not exactly understanding. And that was always a frustration of a lot of contemporaries and folks I worked with, just like you, that I used to say, well, you need to stand up and say, this is what this is going to cost me. This is what my competitive schedule is going to cost me. This is what it's going to take for me to go out there. I want to promote your product. I want to support you as a brand, but I need X, Y, and Z to make that all work. Those walls have started to come down, I can say, in a good way.
Yes.
But you have to be upfront.
Yeah, they're not going to hand it to you on the table, right? You have to ask for it. Just because you deserve something doesn't mean you're going to get it, right? You have to actually take it. Rule number 1. I mean, you know your worth. Know your worth.
Amen.
Add tax.
Add tax.
Add tax. Especially right now. Add the tax.
Yeah, and it's hard for people to understand that, and you try to explain that to a lot of, the companies have gotten better at that.
Yes.
At understanding it. Before you got into the business, it was really bad. It was like, what do you mean I sent you a cleaning kit?
Well, that's a nice cleaning kit.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? But it has gotten better. So you're luckily catching on the back end. I want to throw this by you because you're younger and I know that you get it on all the platforms and you understand them. You might not be excelling on all of them because we talked about TikTok offline, but which I think your stuff's perfect for. But
it would be. It really would be. I think people would love it, watch it. Hello, but
there's roadblocks.
There's a big roadblock. There's a ditch.
But I want to ask you about this. I feel in the industry for the younger crowd, especially your age group and even younger, the most neglected space right now is Twitch. Streaming, video games, all that space.
Literally have no idea what Twitch is.
So Twitch is where like you get your people that are playing Call of Duty.
Oh, okay.
That are streaming onto.
Okay.
Makes sense now?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. There's that. I'm going to throw something else at you. Another hugely neglected space is audio. And because not a lot of podcasts or we're not doing enough to put the personalities forward that we could fall in love with on a different level.
Yes. I agree to that because I had a similar conversation about audio. It wasn't like this direct one, but I mean, how many people do you know listen to the radio? I mean, back in
zero.
Back
terrestrial radio, zero.
Yeah, like back in the day, you listen to radio. You hear the daily news. They talk about daily things. You listen to people. You learn personalities based on what they talk. It's super simple. You watch it in the morning, watch it in the evening when you're in the car. But now we have Spotify that does video.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a different kind of radio. I mean, when I say radio, I say terrestrial radio.
Well, yeah, like the one you press in your car.
AM, FM.
Yeah, normal radio. I felt like if I listen to more radio, I'm more aware. Like I'm actually in tune, I'm listening to what's going on around me. I'm actually listening versus just listening to a song or a podcast that I probably played twice already, right? And I think what you're saying definitely is, I mean, it's there. Like people don't speak up. People don't talk about it. And I don't know if it's because of like, the FM, AM radio that no one's listening to or people just aren't talking.
I think it's a mix. I think people would be willing to talk. We just haven't built, as an industry, we haven't built a platform strong enough. And I think that there's been versions, there's been incarnations, there's been attempts, but I think the best part of us as an industry is who we are. And when you get somebody like yourself talking, there's so much more depth to what drives you, to what motivates you, to what makes you who you are. It goes way beyond just a post on Instagram. Now, clips, a different story. Clips and snippets of shows and stuff are huge. People consume the shit out of those. But one of the fears out there people have talked about is that there's too many people creating content and there's not enough people to consume it, which is kind of a little bit of what you're saying. Like you have AM, FM, Sirius, you have podcasts now. There's a lot. So what you consume as an industry and what we build up and what we use to leverage is really important. Like right now, the industry is very hot and heavy into Instagram, right? So like that's one of the things. Yeah, it's really into Instagram.
That, Twitter, what else?
Really, Instagram is like, because we've spent so long convincing the old white executives in charge, you know what I mean? The 50, 60 somethings that Instagram's viable, right? So they started believing that, but getting them to start to think about YouTube and other areas is something that's so difficult. TikTok, forget it. It's a far off land. Some of these other areas, they're like, they can't even wrap their head around them. They don't even know what they are. And it's hard for them to understand where these puzzle pieces fit and understand that you have to make, and you know this because you've been on the range, tailored content to each of those things.
Yes, tailored's big.
Mm-hmm. It has to be specific content that speaks to those audiences. Like what you put on LinkedIn would be different than what you put on Facebook, which is different than what you put on Instagram.
Oh, 100%. I don't usually put my trick shots as being, my big bad, awesome achievement. I put my Instagram for my, trick shots.
Your quick hits.
Yeah, my easy wins, I like to call them. The easy W's, easy access. Easy likes.
Now, how long does it take you when you go out there and you're gonna film a trick shot? How long does it take you to put one together? Walk me through that.
Ooh, so I usually brainstorm when I'm not out there on like different shots I could take, different like angles.
Storyboard it out a little bit.
Yeah. I have I have a note section and I write down ideas all throughout the day, like every day, all day, doesn't matter. Plane rides, that's when I get a lot of content ideas. But I think about something and then I'll pick out like three, what could I do? And I go do them. And it takes me about like 30 minutes to an hour to get everything perfect, pristine. I mean, the trick shot that I first did, the easier ones, that took me about 20 minutes.
Right.
Max. You just got to set up the angles. You do a little video shooting before you even shoot just to make sure the angles are good. And then you roll with it. I mean, pretty basic, pretty easy. Because my videos are only like 30 seconds, 60 seconds long. They're not 2 minutes, 5 minutes.
You're not doing an hour and a half long podcast.
I'm not doing an hour and a half podcast. Nope.
But that's that what you're doing is much harder though. It requires first the degree of skill. Yeah. Second, you have to decide on the degree of difficulty. Like, can you actually pull it off in an amount of time?
And the amount of time that you're limited to, because I do have to actually train, right? And training doesn't get as much as views as your trick shots. I just I full-fledged believe it. Doesn't matter how cool my training looks. Most of the time, people just want to see instant reactions.
Highlights.
Yeah. Instant stuff, instant things that you can see and be like, oh, wow, versus let me watch it for a minute and still be happy. So I still have to train, and then I still have to actually do the trick shot. So it's like separating time management and everything, because I also have to have a camera person. I usually have to have 2 camera persons because, I can't really, do the selfie stick and throw the gun, throw the
Be
clay.
Amazing if you could.
I do try. I actually have a video that I did try to hold the camera myself, and you see my phone flying across the field, and my dad laughed.
We could get you a special helmet with like a GoPro rigged on.
A special helmet. That's good.
That would be hilarious. Now, do you have ideas you want to do, but you think they push the envelope? Like, where do you draw the line at safety? Is it because, it's a long gun, so you can get away with a lot. You know what I mean? It's not, but.
I've done something. I fell backwards once. That was probably the scariest moment because I was by myself and I was just trying to practice some trick shots before my dad came out there and videoed. And that hurt really bad.
Right.
So safety wise, I just try to at least stay stable. It doesn't matter if I'm like one-handing the shotgun or leaning like halfway backwards or, upside down. It doesn't really matter as long as I'm stable and I know that even if the recoil happens, I'm not really going anywhere. It's like the endo board. I don't know if you saw that video of me on the endo board, balance board. That one, at first, I was a little nervous about because I was like, dude, this endo board can go this way. I'm going to go this way. We don't even know where the shotgun is.
That one didn't look as risky as some stuff, maybe shooting behind your back or upside down, like I feel like might be a little scarier, but I don't like to use the term like safety, but like you have to game it out in your head, like, okay, this is where the muzzle will be pointed, this is what will be going on, so it's not for everybody, to everyone listening, it's not for everybody. This is a professional.
Funny you say that.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, I had to do a disclaimer for the endo board because they actually came back at me and they were like, you're gonna have to take this down unless you do a disclaimer, which I was like, what do you mean, a disclaimer?
Yeah.
So I had to write out a disclaimer for the endo board of, hey kids,
don't try this at home.
Don't be an idiot and don't try everything that you see on Instagram. I'm like, how dumb is this? But I had a lot of negative, comments on that one. Just because there was a possibility, if I did, angle the endo board wrong or misbalance, that the gun actually could have gone one way. I could have gone the other. I told my dad if that happened, grab the gun because that's more valuable.
Right. No, but the people don't realize like it's like Evel Knievel flying off a ramp. That's not for everybody to do.
Yeah, don't do it. Let people who practice
Let Evel Knievel do that.
Yeah. Just again, practice it. You know, if you're professional and you do it all the time, it's a different story. People, you know, you have kids, they want to grab the shotgun. First thing they do, they're like, hey, we should hold this over our head and let it.
Like in the old days, you'd see a guy shoot himself through the leg. That was always a common thing, because they wanted to be like quick draw guys. You know what I mean? So they were getting their finger on the trigger way too quick, or they would be holstering too quick. They were trying to be really smooth about it, and that used to happen, especially with like 1911 type guys. I mean, the famous one was the Kimber guy, and he's like, I shot myself in the leg. You know, there's a lot of that. But you know, these are people that are trying to be studs right out of the gate, you know, and they're creating like a false prophecy, a false narrative. It's these are people that, like, you see Max go up there and ting 10 pieces of steel in 2 seconds. He's practiced that. I mean, way more time. He'll forget more about shooting than I'll remember in 5 lifetimes. But it's because he's practiced that so much. I mean, I believe he still has the Guinness Book of World Records on it. But it's on you know, it's one of those things. It's not. Don't try this at home.
Yeah, just don't try it at home. If you don't feel confident, especially with a firearm, right? Because it's immediate. It's gonna, if you know, do something wrong, it's not like, oh, I tripped and fell. And if I fall a couple times, I'm kind of hurt.
Right, I'm kind of hurt.
Yeah, I'm kind of hurt. It's like immediate. You know, you're gonna feel that pain real fast. It's not gonna be fun. It's gonna be a really bad day for everybody.
Now, what's the next step for you though? Where does it go from here? I mean, how do you turn this into the next thing, and what does the next thing look like?
Okay, so I guess my first goal, I had to break it down in goals because I had to think about this a few months ago. I want to, you know, do my job and make the Olympic team. That's the final route, right? I'm on the travel team, and that's awesome, and I get to hang out with everybody and travel as much as they do and train as much as they do. But I want to make the Olympic team. It was my first quad this past year. I've only been doing international for about 3 years. So I'm kind of a newbie. I haven't even made a full quad. This will be my first full 4 years, what they call it a quad, that I'll be participating in. And I'm really excited for that because I've, you know, so much further than the usual, right?
Right.
I was so close. So hopefully next year, that's where my sights are, you know. That's where I'm going. That's what I want. I want to grow the industry for the next generation. I want to build up that half after that. And I want to start kind of getting that foundation when I'm working on towards the Olympics. So I still have that foundation kind of being built with it.
Right.
And so I want to definitely work on that next generation of shooters. Because again, I want to build up my industry, not just, you know, the black gun world, you know, awesome pistol shooting, awesome rifles. But what about shotguns? Because you have shotguns.
Hey, you got to love what you love.
Yeah, you have shotguns in, you know, 3 guns, but you have shotguns in, you know, high schools, colleges. I'm like, there's so much opportunity. It was like, if I can build that up, that's going to be probably my other goal, my next goal. So.
Now you build that up. It's a perfect world. You're competing. You eventually lead to winning. Is that all there is? Or do you eventually want to become a nurse or a doctor or a brain surgeon, or do you legitimately want to make a career in this long term?
At first I didn't. At first I was the nerd in college. I took all the science classes. I have everything to take my NCAT right now, and it's ready to go. And I wanted to be a physician's assistant. PA. Yeah, I wanted to just do the PA route. Really liked it. I was in the ER. I was in the ER working as an EMT. They actually let me do that in St. Louis, and I worked night shifts in college between shooting and school. I did, you know, EMT route. So I really liked that, and that's what I was going to do until I started putting me on the travel team. Changed that. You know, you're gone every 3 weeks, right, for at least 2.5 weeks. So you're like up, gone, leave, and you still have to train in between those. So I had no time to actually go to school unless I wanted to give up shooting. I wasn't ready to do that. So honestly, the whole, you know, business side, gun side.
Because I know you're learning the business side. We've talked about it, the gun business.
I am learning this business side because I guess that's where I'm going. And, you know, I want to be good at it.
It's a fucked up world.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
not going to stop me.
No, it shouldn't. It's a good point. It shouldn't stop you. But there's a lot of, you got to know how to put your deals together. You got to know what you want to do. You have to start to work towards that direction. There are some great women who have paved the way. Julie Galoob. There's a lot out there that have done a great job. Diana Mueller is a great resource. There's a lot of great women. Michelle Viscusi, of course, that have done some fantastic things. And I think the next evolution is some combination of what like Amy Robbins has done with Alexo Athletica and some of those things, and start to bring it all together where you have your own brands and you're starting to put all the puzzle pieces together. And I think that's the next evolution for women. And look, I'm a firm believer. I believe women can rule the world. Believe me, I'm not a doubter. I grew up with sisters. If I said otherwise, they probably would have punched me in the face, and they have. But the reality is, you have to start to put it all together, whether it's a woman having a podcast, a business, having all the pistons firing and becoming leaders in that respective genre. And I think it's coming. I think it's here. I think, your generation is going to be the generation that really pushes through and establishes that. And that's what I think is exciting to see play out, because, I love what Amy's done with her brand. I love what certain people are doing out there right now. And it's fun to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Alexo leggings too, just because you brought up the name.
Of course.
I mean, I do love how she took that to the next step.
Murders it.
I was like, yes, finally someone gets it. Someone actually put it on paper.
Finally a man's not making the pants.
No joke, right? I was like, because you get all these instructors, you're like, well, I don't wear yoga pants. I was like, well, that's great, but we do. And
right.
I was like, life's not just about you, buddy. I was like, we need the gun way more than y'all need it.
Right. I mean, they're 100% accurate. It's about, I want to see that more than anything. And I think your generation is going to be the generation that breaks through and starts to do some really dynamic stuff in the business. And not that that's not happening now. It's happening in micro pockets. Yeah. But I love seeing that stuff happen. And I think, women, it's a foregone conclusion that they're one of the largest growing segments. I think in the African American community is the largest growing now in the gun community. One of the largest, of course. I've spoke with multiple friends, whether it's Maj Touré, certain guys that are just doing a fantastic job out there educating and advocating and pushing so much. And I think women are one step ahead of that. They're hunting, they're doing everything. It's just now pulling it all together and having them be leaders on both sides of the table, and getting the right deals and, getting the right signature items, everything, and pulling it all.
Deals, signature items, being at the table and knowing what you want. I feel like
that's a big
finally coming together for us, because at first, it's like, oh, hey, congratulations, you're at the table. I was like, well, that's great.
You have to figure out what you want. You nailed it.
Now? Yeah, like, what do I do now? What can I get?
Yeah, that's the biggest, you just hit the nail on the head there. That's the biggest thing, is you have to find out what it is you want. And I think a lot of people, men and women, it's not just women, struggle with that. It's like, okay, you're here.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
You're here, and then they go,
you want a free holster?
They go instantly blank. You're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, well, go back home and figure it out.
Right. You got to go back to drawing it up on the chalkboard.
Yeah.
Well, listen, believe it or not, we've gone for over an hour.
Oh, wow. I was a little nervous.
I don't know why. You could freaking talk the paint off the walls. You're almost worse than me. No, I'm kidding. You did fine. Let everybody know where they can find you, how they can reach you, and how they can come in contact with your content and eventually you. I don't know if you have a website up yet and running.
I do have a website in the works, and that's going to show you all the steps I do about coaching and stuff like that. And
all that jazz.
I know. It's coming. It's really close to being done. And then right now I'm just on Instagram. It's jstallings11 at Instagram. And Facebook, I'm not a big fan of Facebook, so sorry.
Yeah, but
guys.
you need it.
I do need it, but
it's a good place to put some long form stuff.
Yeah, I have a personal site. I just don't do followers, but I am on TikTok. You can kind of see my training videos because that's the only thing allowed right now. And then just Instagram right
What's
now.
What's the website going to be when it comes?
It's just going to be juliastallings.com.
Simple.
I know. I like
Perfect.
my name.
Yeah. No, it's good. We'll talk about that. I appreciate having you.
Thank you for having me.
And I think when you have more to report, when that website gets done and everything else, I think you should come back. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
I do appreciate it. I'm going to pay close attention to this competition circuit. I got to get dialed in with this.
You'll have to come out for a tournament. We'll get you out there. It's fine. We'll work on it.
I'm weird. So, thank you. And any sponsors you want to shout out?
I'll shout out Krieghoff because they're just, dear to my heart, right? My gun's everything, so.
Gorgeous shotguns.
I know. She's beautiful.
Yeah,
She's a little heavy. But she's beautiful.
I've always been familiar with the brand, but I never because I wasn't in that area, I never stalked the page. I looked at some of their stuff, beautiful stuff.
So,
I recall
the English vibe. Yeah, I love it.
How many do you have?
So I'm working on my second gun. No, I love how you laugh at that. I have my first one. That's like my baby. And then I got another receiver. And now I'm building the stock.
It out.
Yeah, I'm going to build it out just so it's like a replica. But my wood's kind of light. So I'm going to make this one a dark wood. So I'll have like yin yang.
Yeah. Wow.
I know.
So different.
I know. I'm so excited.
So different.
I really just want a whole wall.
Have you gone to the factory?
Yes.
Is that amazing?
I did not go to the factory in Germany. I got to go to their site, their international site in America, and it's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I got to see them, so I brought a piece of wood to them when I got my stock made. Like, it was just a blank piece of wood. I was like, here you go.
Now, how does it work with shotguns? Do they have to assemble them here? Is it the same like AKs, when they import them?
Yeah, they send pieces because mine's modular. So, if you get pretty close to the same serial numbers, my receiver will fit on different barrels. Same vice versa. But yeah, no, I got to see them actually do all the woodworking, and
I got to do more digging into this.
It was so cool. It was really, really cool. And they actually have, not many people know, but they actually have a shooting range under the building. It's like a cool secret door. They're like, do you want to shoot your gun? And I was like, we're in the middle of Pennsylvania. I can't shoot my gun. And they're like, oh no, we have a spot. And so they take me down the stairway. I was like, oh, this is weird. And then all of a sudden, just straight line of fire. I was like, oh, shooting range. I can test this out. It works.
I'm okay with that.
I was like, I really like this place even more.
They got to get you to Germany, though.
I want to go to Germany so bad. I was supposed to go last March. I know a lot of the German shooting team. They're really, really good people. They actually saved my butt in Korea with coffee because they actually brought their own coffee. Korea's coffee sucks. So
it's too light.
Yeah. No, I had to have 4 cups. I had to press it 4 times so you get a little cup. I was like, jeez.
Americans and their coffee.
I was like, I need it.
Oh,
need the caffeine.
So, all right, we digress. I want to take a minute and thank all the sponsors. Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com. I appreciate Julia coming in. This was awesome. Go check out Galotech, Rhino Metals, Volquartsen, Blackwater Ammunition, Galco Leather Holsters, Right On Optics. Woo.
Right on.
Shout out to them. And, of course, Pulsar. Costa Thermals is coming down in IR. Go check them out. Love Pulsar. And Galco Leather Holsters. Let's roll the reel.